This class was visiting colleges. They were all on a bus to visit one of these local colleges. Well, this junior was sitting by his girlfriend. Now, these two had been dating forever. Everyone knew them as that couple. But halfway through the bus ride, and Kevin, we gotta talk. She breaks up with him on the bus. I can't do this anymore. You're an embarrassment to me. I have bigger things I want to do with my life. And you're gonna hold me back. I'm done. We are done. Oof. And he's just taking it. She finally stops talking and he's just sitting there staring out the window. 5 minutes go by. Then he quietly stands up, lowers the window gap as far as it'll go, shimmies his way out, and jumps out of the bus while it's moving. The bus is going 35 miles per hour on the highway. Everyone's panicking. Stop the bus! Stop the bus! Oh my god, he jumped! What happened? Well, I broke up with him. He said he didn't want to be on this trip with me, and he jumped out the window. So, not my fault. Now, this kid was fine. When he jumped out, he landed on this big pile of grass on the side of the highway. Just some scrapes and bruises. But when he landed, he just stood up and just ran into the woods. Full sprint. Backpack on and everything. He had to call his parents. His parents came to the side of the road where the bus was at. Staff was sent into the woods to go find him, and they found him, sitting by a creek on a log, crying softly to himself. Hey buddy, you okay? I loved her so much. Leave me here. Leave me here. She liked this boy in her art class. Hi. Hey. The kid was quiet, he was funny, he drew comics in his sketchbook. Well, through a few of her friends, she found out that he lived a couple blocks away from her. Now, she was determined to get closer to this guy. She wanted to do something memorable. So one night at 4 a.m., she sneaks out of her house. She's barefoot, she's in a hoodie, and she's carrying a bag of garbage. She walks 3 blocks to this kid's house. Her heart is pounding. She really wants him to like her back. When she gets there, she takes the garbage bag and she dumps all of the garbage all over his lawn. She then rings the doorbell and sprints home. The next day in class, she overhears this kid talking. Hey, did anything weird happen to anybody else last night? No, why? Somebody dumped garbage all over my lawn at 4 a.m. and then rang my doorbell and ran away. And this was her chance. That was me. Oh, okay. Thanks. Of course. And he didn't talk to her for months after that. Why did she think that would work? That's absolutely insane. She banned calculators, then this happened. This teacher was a strict math teacher, one of those no calculator types, which is lame in my opinion because screw math. But anyway, class, you will never need a calculator if you're actually smart. She said that at least once a week, always with a little smirk. Like she's trying to be inspirational, but she just comes across as condescending. One day, she's flying through problems in the board. She's fast, she's confident, she's feeling herself. Okay, 12 times 6, that gives us 64. The kid in the back, Brady, raises his hand and goes, miss, you mean 72, right? Excuse me? Yeah, you said 12 times 6 is 64. It's 72, miss. She looks at the board and she slowly erases it and changes it to 72. Awkward. Then Brady from the back goes, maybe you should use a calculator. Yeah, miss. What now? She's actually dumb. Yeah. Use a calculator, idiot. You smell like my dad. So it's this kid's birthday party, and his mom lets her sister, his aunt, make the cake since she's a baker. Well, everyone gathers around, and the aunt brings out the cake. Well, the lid comes off, and it says, Happy birthday, Kyle and Jason? Kyle's the birthday kid. Jason isn't. Jason is his aunt's son, his cousin. The mom's like, are you serious? Why is your kid's name on my son's cake? And the aunt shrugs. It's fine. They can share. They can blow out the candles together. Absolutely not. This is his birthday, not your son's. So what happened was Kyle's cousin Jason was incredibly spoiled, and he couldn't stand to be at another kid's birthday party. He had to make it about him as well. Well, the two sisters start arguing in front of the entire party, and everybody is incredibly uncomfortable. It looks like they're about to start throwing hands, when finally Kyle's mom says, you know what? Take your cake and your spoiled kid and leave my frickin' house. The aunt storms out with the cake, and 10 minutes later, the dad comes in with a cake from Walmart, and the birthday party was saved. But the mom still hasn't talked to her sister since then. For real though, who would think that's okay? When she was in 2nd grade, her older sister got glasses, and instantly she wanted a pair of glasses as well. So she told her parents.
I can't see see the board at school.
So they take her to the eye doctor. He does a test and she's pretending like she can't see. 2 minutes in, he says, yeah, she's lying. She can see fine. But her parents still believed her. And they're like, no, you better give her some glasses. He writes a prescription and just like that, a week later, her glasses are ready. At first, she loved them, even though she couldn't really see in them because, well, she lied during that test. But she loved the frames, she loved the attention she was getting, but she kept wearing them for years. And her eyes kept adjusting to the prescription, and the prescription kept getting stronger and stronger. We'll flash forward 10 years, and now every day, she wears a pair of the thickest glasses because she actually can barely see without them now. And she's pretty sure it's because back in 2nd grade, she lied when taking the eye test, and she ruined her eyesight forever. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. This girl's parents were so strict. They banned birthdays at their house. No cake, no candles, no parties. So on her 13th birthday, her friends found out. Wait, so you never had a birthday party ever? Nope, never. They were stunned. That is so messed up. You know what? Tomorrow night, we're throwing you one. One of them's house was the perfect spot. A huge backyard, a pool, lights were already strung up for vibes, and they spread the word. By sundown the next day, the backyard was packed. Music blasting, kids cannonballing in the pool. The girl who was hosting the party's parents were there just to keep everyone safe, but they were just sitting back relaxing. Everyone was even chanting her name when she walked in. Marissa, Marissa, happy birthday, Marissa. And for the first time ever, she had a birthday cake with real candles in it. And right as she blew out those candles, there they were. She saw her parents walk into the backyard. Everyone got silent. What is this? Her friend stepped in. Hey, she deserves this. It's her 13th birthday. Her parents looked around and there was dozens of people just staring at them. They were uncomfortable, so they just said, all right, well, we'll pick you up here at 10, okay? 10 p.m. And they left. But still, that was the birthday that she would never, ever forget. This kid shows up the second period and says, hey, what's up, guys? There was a deer stalking me in the parking lot. Oh, what? Yeah, I was walking into the building and I look over and this deer is just looking at me from behind a tree. I walk a little farther and there he is at a different tree, still staring at me. So of course, everybody starts making fun of this kid. They're calling him Deer Boy this entire class. And he's like, guys, this is so dumb. I saw a deer. Whatever. Third period starts and all of a sudden, throughout the entire hall, you hear a giant crash. Guess what it was? A deer literally jumped through one of the classroom windows. Not like near the window, like through it. What was that? What happened? A freaking deer jumped through the classroom window. It's still in the room. Oh my God, he's coming for me. It was an absolutely absurd moment. Nobody knows what to do because this deer's kind of freaking out in this classroom. They don't know what to do with it. Well, this one teacher shows up, Mr. Redding. And apparently, Mr. Redding has had a lot of experience with deer. He somehow went in there, calmed it down, and walked it out of the school. How'd you do that, Mr. Redding? Well, I had a pet deer once, and he was my best friend. And after that, everybody stopped calling this kid Deer Boy because obviously there was a deer near the school and it jumped through the window. I wonder if it was coming for him. That's kind of freaky. Every day this kid would come home with bruises and cuts, and his mom would always ask, oh my God, sweetie, what happened to you? Oh, just football, Mom. It's rough. But here's the truth. It wasn't from football. After school, there was this fight club that was in somebody's garage who lived near the school. It wasn't just like 1 or 2 kids. It was like 30 of them. They would gather at this guy's garage, they would circle up, and they would throw down. And here's the thing. The guy that hosted this, his parents worked late, so they were never home after school. All right, gather in. Round 1. Martouche and Kenny. You ready? Let's rock, Salmon Man. And they weren't going easy on each other either. It was insane. There was split lips, busted teeth, and what's the rule of Fight Club? You know it. Nobody talked about it outside of this circle. So every night this kid would walk back in his house, beat up, bloody, and he would say the same thing. Football practice, Mom. It was rough, but it was never football. That's insane. This is so freaking cool. So it was fall, and a couple kids, they decide to make a backyard carnival. Obviously, it was nothing official. Just some old toys, a plastic table, and whatever junk they could find. One kid stacked some soup cans on a chair. Knock them down, you win a prize. The other kid taped a bucket to the fence. 3 throws for 1 quarter. But then they got creative. Somebody dragged over a busted wagon and tied it to a bike. And suddenly it was a roller coaster. You ready, bro? Get in. I'm in, man. Let's go. All right. This is awesome. Another kid tied a tire to a tree branch, and there you had it, a swing. They did it just for them at first, like a fun way to spend the afternoon. But then kids from the block started to show up. Yo, what is this? It's a carnival, bro. Come on. By the end of the day, the entire backyard was packed. packed, and a ton of kids from the neighborhood were bringing their own stuff over. It was insane. Candy, prizes, homemade rides. Parents were even showing up, like, what the heck is happening back here? But they loved it. They thought it was super creative. It wasn't professional, it wasn't safe. But for that one day, that backyard was a freaking carnival, baby, and that's awesome.